Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for choosing to join our session today. We know that there are some really great sessions running at the same time, so we are happy to see the room getting full. My name is Isabela Cardoso, and this is my colleague, Craig Ringland. We are both part of the customer success team at LinkedIn, and we are responsible for helping our global clients transform the way they recruit through learning and education. We will be sharing the stage today with Sarang, who is the global lead at social sourcing at Capgemini. Both Craig and I have had the pleasure to work with Sarang on Capgemini's learning strategy. For the first part of the session, we are going to give you an overview of what it takes to make your learning strategy successful. Then we are going to have Sarang walking us through Capgemini's journey of transformation. We are going to allow plenty of time for questions at the end, so please take your notes, and we hope you enjoy the session.
So when you're thinking about recruiter license learning now, what comes to mind? Is it simply just attending one of our general sessions, reading a tip sheet? Or are some of you actually just doing the learning because you've been told to do learning? Conversely, are you thinking about learning as a way of transforming yourself, transforming your team, and ultimately transforming your business? So today, we'd like to challenge the way that you currently might be thinking about recruiter license learning and how this can drive a positive change for your business. After all, recruiter license learning is an investment in time, but it's the overall process that drives a team to change the behaviors of how they're currently socially recruiting. The journey of Capgemini has been an inspiring one, and it's not just because of the amount of learning that they've completed, but it's the overall process and change that they have driven across their global team. By partnering with Capgemini and understanding their processes, we've been able to integrate our online learning into their recruitment development pathway via our LinkedIn certification curriculum, which has driven a user change globally for their whole business. But what we need to remember, in making a change such as this happen, it doesn't happen overnight. And it's been quite a big investment in time that's taken us around 2 years, which has been a massive investment in time, planning, execution, constant communication, and measurement. Internally, Capgemini have a name for this process, and it's called changing the hats.
Nowadays, we are all trying to be fitter, healthier, perhaps even a little bit stronger. So let's think about learning in the context of personal fitness. When I decide to go on a fitness program, the first thing that I need to figure out is what I'm trying to achieve. Do I want to lose weight? Do I want to build up some muscles? Or do I just want to be a little bit healthier? Once I decide what my goal is, I need the right strategy to be successful. But it's not just one training session, going to the gym and lifting some weights. For a full transformation, I need to watch my diet, I need to change some of my habits, and more importantly, I need to change my mindset. And since I'm investing energy and time into my fitness program, I need to see that this investment is paying off. When we talk about recruiter license learning, it's no different. Learning does not happen in isolation, and it does need to be aligned to your business goals. Learning is going to act as a vehicle to help you drive and transform your business. Structured learning is also essential to drive engagement and adoption of the recruiter license. Education is going to enhance your team's skills, which will result in a better return of investment for your business. But remember, it always starts with a change of mindset.
And with this change in mindset, your team will need direction. For many recruiters, their first instance of using a recruiter license is their first journey into the world of social recruiting, and they will need guidance in that space. You want to ensure that your team fully understand why you are taking them through a learning program, what's important, what's in it for them, and where do you want to take your team as a result of taking them through a learning program. But what we need to consider when your teams are on this journey is communication doesn't stop when the learning starts. It's an ongoing process to engage your team, share some wins, share the challenges, because this constant engagement is going to drive both learning completion and ongoing usage as your team grow to a social recruiting model.
If we all remember my fitness goals, it's quite easy to measure the success with my plan with a measuring tape and a scale. To measure the success of your learning plan, you might need a little bit more than a measuring tape. But don't worry, it is possible to see how successful your learning program has been. Understanding your starting points will be the basis for the measurement of your business transformation. At the end of the day, there was a reason why something needed to be changed. We also need to set clear metrics to be measured. So benchmarks and performance metrics can help you see how you're tracking towards achieving your goals and how usage behavior is changing. Are the recruiters more efficient at using the recruiter tool? Are they more effective in driving ROI for your business? And of course, we want to make sure that we measure how the recruiters feel after they complete the learning. Has the learning helped raise their confidence when they are using the recruiter tool? Is their performance better as well?
We've partnered with Capgemini to implement a global learning program which has been driven across their whole team. To date, we've had around 400 recruiters at Capgemini go through this online learning process, and we're both pleased to announce that right now, 138 of their team are now recruiter certified. Isabella and I could actually stand up here all day. We could stand up here all day and talk to you about the benefits of online learning. But what's more impactful is to hear from one of our customers about how they have driven their global social transformation around recruiting across a global team. And with that, I'd love to hand you over to Sarang Brahme, who is the global lead for Capgemini's social sourcing, to talk us through this transformation, which they call changing of the hats. But before I hand you over to Sarang, there's a few little facts that he probably will not share with us as part of his presentation today. For example, he's one of the top 25 HR social influencers within India. He was also the first representative from India to present at SourceCon. And based on his LinkedIn profile, and we won't put him under any pressure to do this today at all, he loves to sing. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to introduce you to Sarang Brahme.
Thank you, Isabella. Thank you, Craig. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not going to sing or dance while it's still tempting, but no. This is always, the post-lunch sessions are always interesting. So it's my responsibility to make sure you guys are awake. So thank you so much, LinkedIn, to give me the opportunity to be here. I'm really excited and proud to present Capgemini's journey, which I'm sure you guys will find interesting, and some learnings that we have had throughout. So just before going forward, a bit introduction about myself. My name is Sarang. I'm based out of India. I lead Capgemini's social recruiting initiative globally. This is a project we started a couple of years back. I've been in Capgemini just over 6 years now. Just to set up context, Capgemini is one of the world's leading IT services and consulting company. We are in 48 countries, over 180,000 people globally now. So that's where we are. So before we actually go ahead, I just wanted to show a little snippet. So this is what's called social recruiting and magic wand. And I'll come back to what I'm saying. So a lot of times, some of these social recruiting tools like LinkedIn and Facebook really seems magical. You have, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen the presentations where they say, hey, you can drive these results. It's really easy, which is great. But at the end of it, I think what we really need to understand is not just about tools. Social recruiting and social media is never about tools. It's about people. It's about your own people, recruiters, HR professionals, and people that they are engaging. So here's a little conversation. So there's a recruiter and manager, and then there is a recruiter. So recruitment manager has probably seen some presentation around social media and says, hey, these social networking tools looks great. They are good for a recruiter and employer branding. It's like magic wand. So all that we need to do is just buy some job postings and logins, and that's it. That's easy, right? At this point of time, recruiter seems puzzled. OK, that's great, but our recruiters don't know how to use them. And she turns back and says, that's fine. Just remind them about magic wand. So I just want to tell you that there's no magic wand. There has to be investment into people, into their learning, in the entire journey. So moving ahead, I'm going to tell you today's story about our transformation of not just learning, but overall social recruiting journey, which we started in 2013 and where we are right now. It wasn't an overnight journey. It was not just me who did it. So this is all credit goes to my recruiting team, marketing team, entire partnership. But this is what I'm going to talk about from 2013 to 2015. From the beginning where we were, we found a new direction, building blocks of the new direction. Changing the hat, that's my favorite program, and I'll talk a bit about that. And we did not stop there. We innovated. We went ahead. So we'll talk about it. And lastly, what are the learnings that we had? So it's not a completed journey at all. We're still on the runway. There still need to be learnings that we had. So I'm going to share some of it. Long ago, not so long ago. I think this is what we started in 2013. So my boss was one of these conferences in 2013, and we looked at where we are in terms of not just competition, but from the market perspective. And I have to be honest, some of the stats that we had were pretty shattering, to say the least. So we had pretty fragmented recruitment structure back then. Every region, every SBU had their own strategies. They had their own way of using social tools, everything. But at that point of time, we realized the kind of transformation that we were going through, so the kind of growth we are in a hyper-growth mode at this point of time. We are hiring every year over 40,000 people globally, which is a high-volume number. And at this stage of transformation, we cannot be just thinking what we used to do, but where we need to be. So what was the objective that we set out? So we set out an objective saying we need to hire people which are best and not the most available people. A lot of time you tend to hire people who only are available because they're probably reaching out to you, but are you reaching out to the right people? Are you engaging them? Are you encouraging them to have a dialogue with you? So we started the transformation program at that point of time, where we decided to go tactical to strategic. We thought about, so it's not just one region. As I said, we had 40 different regions. We looked at how do we look at this objective and really transform us as a global organization as an objective that we have set out. So while each region will have their own different versions and flavors of this objective, the tools that they would use it, but it has to be about selecting best people. So we went local to global. We created the community. We created the collaboration and team among ourselves, which would then drive ahead the conversations. And lastly, traditional to social. That particular point of time, our social usage was pretty bad, to say the least. And this is just one aspect of it. So at that point of time, in 2013, we were just at 6% talent brand index, which if you compare to our competitors or in the market, we were pretty bad. So first thing is really acknowledging that there is a broken piece, which we will really need to put it together. And next is to talk about, so this is it. Where do we go from here? So we started talking about which are the building blocks. OK, we understand where we are, but how do we start the transformation? What are some of the steps that we will need to take? So first step was really to go build a regional and global partnership. And as I said, this is a team effort. And in today's situation, where recruiters need to think as marketers, we can't just be among ourselves as a HR or recruitment team. So we go out and started engaging marketing team, regional marketing teams, global marketing teams, and really started to think about how we can collaborate. At the end of it, we wanted to engage and bring in the talent community, really position Capgemini in a manner which will be able to, as I said, select the best talent. Okay, so we had that. How do we create social strategy? What does it mean for us? In that, as a next step, we started looking at tools. Which tools that we start engaging? LinkedIn was one of those tools. So we are not restricted to LinkedIn. We also use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Zing, Google+, in some other regions, so Golden Line, so all suite of tools. But the social strategy is really heart of it. And next, so while we have everything, how do we put together a comprehensive program which makes sure that it's sustainable throughout? So it's not just about building something, leaving it there, but it's also about how do we have sustenance. So framework, governance, reviews, and making sure the continuity is there. So this was our new direction. So we'll talk about each bit. So in terms of regional and global partnership, at that point of time, we really came together as one Capgemini recruitment function. So the first snapshot that you are seeing as Global Talent Acquisition Group is a snapshot of our Yammer group. So we created a Yammer community that time where we pulled all our talent acquisition people together and said, we need to share knowledge. A lot of times, some of our best ideas came from internally. Some other region were doing something great, other really learned about it. It became a global program. So that collaboration was extremely important. So the Yammer community, we also got monthly calls about what's happening, what are some of the best practices that we can share, how we can drive some of the global programs together as a team. At the same point of time, we started our employer branding campaign called Be the You You Want to Be. So our employer branding philosophy is very simple. It's about you. It's about candidates, our employees. It's not about us. It's not about this is our billion revenues, these are number of people that we've got, we are in 40 regions. No, it's about what does it mean to you as a candidate or as an employee? And can you share your stories? So that was the branding campaign which started in 2013. And then we looked at, okay, this is great, but how do we really make sure we reach out to the grassroots level recruiters? Because a lot of times these strategies, employer branding looks great, but unless and until your recruiters are not bought into it, they are not trained, learned to use some of these techniques, it's not going to be effective. So we created a hub and spoke approach, where as a HR center of excellence, while we started the initiative, we had regional social recruiting champs in each of the regions. So a lot of regions today has these evangelists, a full-time opportunity, by the way, where social recruiting recruiters who then work with their individual recruitment team in the region, as well as their regional marketing teams, and really create a sense of collaboration or drive a lot of programs that we do. So this was the infrastructure that we created before we said we really had to have a social strategy, because without it, everything would be pretty blank. The next step was really to create a social strategy. So while we had everything pieces together, how do we approach social? How do we really utilize social? And what does this mean to us at Capgemini? So for us, social recruiting is about three different things. Source.brand.engage. That's the philosophy that we've got. A lot of times, as I said, we get into these employer branding conversations, which is really great. But at the end of it, for recruiters, it's really starts with sourcing. Are they utilizing social recruiting to finding those untapped talent in the market? Yes, and then we can start looking at attracting and engaging. So we said sourcing, branding, engaging, looking at awareness, interest, candidate experience. This was the whole strategy that we talked about. And next step was obviously started engaging with LinkedIn. So we had job postings, logins, career pages, and some other media that we looked at. We also then started working with marketing team to utilize Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and some of the other channels. But this is the heart of it. This is where we started everything. So at this point of time, we had pretty large group of recruiters started using LinkedIn, which is 1/3 of global recruiters at this point of time started using LinkedIn, which is great, right? But again, just reflect back to the first strip. It's not just about how many recruiters use it, whether they are using in a most efficient and effective manner. So that was the question. And that's why we thought to ourselves, what do we do to make sure these recruiters who have been traditionally using job portals, Monsters and career builders, how do they start using LinkedIn? Do they use LinkedIn just another as a job portal? Start sending out emails with job descriptions, hey, this is a cool opportunity, send me your resume, or post a job just like that? No, that's not going to be effective, right? It's not how the social recruiting is done. The heart of social recruiting is about really learning how to use these digital channels. So at this point of time, we started our program called Changing the Hat. So this Changing the Hat was really talking about the thinking hat that recruiter wear while recruiting, and how it's different from what they do with job portals, traditional channels, to what they do with digital. So we really looked at 3 different ways. One is how do we enable them to learn what is social recruiting means for them. So it's all about learning. It's all about finding new ways. Secondly was leadership buy-in. Nothing would happen without leadership buy-in because the approach has to be top to down. And their support, every regional managers having 40 different regions was pretty complex to begin with. But once we had their buy-ins and once we started showcasing small successes, I think it went pretty easy for us. Next is, and most importantly, I think, what does this mean for recruiters? While it's great for company, what does this mean for recruiters? So from a learning perspective, we also we started loads of workshops. So apart from LinkedIn certification, online workshops, I remember we're not just talking about it. We talked about Facebook, every channel. How do you use Facebook graph searches? How do you use Google X-ray searches? How do you use Twitter to find candidates? How do you use online communities, Stack Overflow, Guild, Talentbeam? It's not just about tool, but it's about approach on digital. So me or some of the social recruiting champs started putting together these workshops on a regular basis to really make this change happen from traditional to new. Craig and Isabella helped us from putting a lot of Q&A calls as part of the certification. So every time recruiter had a lot of queries around certification, how do I do this, how do I do that? Next is we created mentors internally. So these mentors would then go and become champions and mentor others. Again, to the grassroots level change. We started putting together in some regions KPIs as a social sourcing. So they will get brownie points if they find candidates and hire candidates from social media like LinkedIn, and that would help them to enhance their performances. Created testimonials internally by recruiters, for recruiters, publish them, communicate them, and really drive that change. From a leadership and influencing, again, getting buy-in from each leadership, making sure it's part of their strategy and not something like an initiative which is started by a group HR or some other part of Capgemini. How do they influence recruiters? Push and pull approach. Success stories. Some of the success stories we started talking about in our monthly calls, in email communication. So people started learning from that. That was also, so we had to learn among each other. Gamification. So as part of certification, we actually gamified the entire concept. So every region used to have a number of recruiters certified that would go against each region. So every time we have a leaderboard, this region has these many certified, and they would compete against each other. just to make sure social recruiting has to be fun, has to be interesting. It cannot be a boring approach. And lastly, what does this mean for recruiter? Does it help them to grow in the career, personally as well as professionally? What does it mean for performance management, career development? And we actually showcased them or celebrated them as talent ambassadors and made them heroes out of it. And recruiters enjoyed that. They're getting something out of this program, which was pretty important. So that's great. The change the hat, great. What does this mean for end result hiring? And a lot of times, there's a gap between how you train and what's the end impact. So we measured that into 4 different aspects: utilization, reach, leads, and hire. So what's the difference between recruiters which are certified to recruiters who were not certified? Was there a real impact from these 4 angles? And yes, there was a significant difference. So you would see in the first utilization, user grade is how best they are using LinkedIn Recruiter. So, or overall social learning. We found that recruiters who are LinkedIn certified were super users of social media. They were getting most hires. They were getting, finding more candidates. Their talent pipeline had more candidates from social media, which obviously, again, resonate with hiring the best people and not just people who are responding to us through job. Just to give you a couple of statistics, 65% of all LinkedIn hires actually came from LinkedIn recruiters. So most of the people who were most successful were actually LinkedIn recruiters. And out of 10 people who hired most from LinkedIn, 7 were certified. So again, it shows that there is a definite correlation in if you put a learning in the right manner to recruiters, make it interesting for them, make it rewarding for them, the results will definitely be there. Today, I'm really proud to say that Capgemini has the largest team globally who have most certified recruiters. So 138 is what Craig mentioned. So this was a picture of a cake that LinkedIn sent to us to our India team. At that time, that cake was 75. Today we are 130. I'm hopeful LinkedIn will send us a bigger cake next time. So, so we celebrated. We celebrated our small successes. Okay, while that's great, we had success, we had some initial results, but it's important to be continued in our approach. So we have monthly review calls with LinkedIn. We have quarterly business review calls with LinkedIn where we continuously review and measure what we are doing. We have a user grading. Every LinkedIn recruiter is graded by A, B, C, D, or F based on how are they using LinkedIn. Same goes for each region. We have a report which says this region is red, amber, green. And we go back to those regions and ask, are there any improvements or necessary adjustment we need to do? We put part of a KPI. So we have agreed certain KPIs with LinkedIn at the start of year saying, we have to achieve these results. How are we faring on that? Every month on month, are we in green? Are we in red? Or is there a stagnation? Find out improvement areas. And lastly, every month we find top performers, give them rewards, make them recognized. And every month you will find new people. Yeah? Okay. So while that's great, we cannot be stagnant there. We have to continuously innovate our approach. So again, from our strategy perspective, we looked at source, brand, and engage. So how are we, Capgemini, innovating? From a sourcing perspective, there was a Sourceathon, was a program that we put together earlier this year or end of last year, which was really gamified the entire social sourcing. So how do you encourage recruiters to start using LinkedIn more and more? So we put together this program where every LinkedIn, or every recruiter, in fact, not just LinkedIn recruiter, would earn points based on the number of candidates that he or she proposed, offers, hires, whether that comes from LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, really doesn't matter. And then we created a dashboard which says, these are the top recruiters, these are the top sourcers, We used to publish that every month, stick board, everywhere it is, and we encourage them to win, goodies like iPad. And we actually have given iPads to our recruiters. Again, part of the changing process. We have to use push and pull approach. Second is, if you go onto Twitter, even right now, and put Capgemini Recruitathon, you will see loads of tweets. So this was a program that happened, in fact, yesterday, where the entire day where we simulated, we only used social media on this day. No job portals, nothing else, only social media. We involved hiring managers into the process. We actually created a pipeline of 300 recruiters only on one day by social sourcing. Because otherwise, recruiters normally don't get that much time, or they don't have tendency to go on to social. Because as I said, they will always go to results which are faster, cheaper, and better. But they would not think whether that's the right and best way to do it. So this was a program that we put earlier this week. From a branding perspective, what we also realized is we need to ask recruiters to start think like marketeers. So how do not every time you will go to marketing department, ask them to put together an employer branding program. It has to be done as a co-initiative. And all of these initiatives, we have been partnering with marketing, and I'm speaking on behalf of it. So Gradathon was a program. Again, if you go on Twitter, put Gradathon. This was an employee advocacy program that we put in, where we had over 50 graduates who were speaking on behalf of Capgemini, putting together their life at Capgemini, and sharing their experiences. Organic branding, zero cost, totally zero cost. But the kind of results that we get, in fact, this was a trending topic for 3 days onto social media about Capgemini. It was the most talked about topic. We did not spend any money. It was all organic, people power. Secondly, Instagram. Go and check out our Instagram account. Today we have 1,500 followers, and you will see the glass door to Capgemini. It's life at Capgemini, be the you want to be. It's all pictures about people who have put in their experiences at Capgemini, and Instagram is full of that. Lastly is Brand Champs. Brand Champ is an official employee advocacy program in India, where 1,000 employees have themselves participated and volunteered to be brand champs and brand ambassadors. And they are putting content about Capgemini. We are using a third-party tool for this, where all of the content of Capgemini is going to that particular tool. These brand champs have access to these tools. They are amplifying through their social media messages. Again, a very simple process, but it's very effective. 50% of conversations happen today about Capgemini is because of the brand champs. The kind of impressions, followers, and results that we brought into this is far higher than any paid campaign or any sponsored campaign that we've got. Again, as I said, be the you want to be. Our own employees are in the center of it. Lastly is in terms of engage. For 2 years now, we have put in LinkedIn profiling contest. So all of our recruiters would have a workshop around how to do LinkedIn profiles. We give them 15 days, 20 days to really change their LinkedIn profile. We would help them to give tips. And at the end of 15 days, top profiles will be selected, and then they will be rewarded. It's a joint program with LinkedIn, and we have seen phenomenal results. Again, very simple things. We have, in fact, done this with hiring managers as well. There was a campaign around Salesforce, and we asked all Salesforce hiring managers, created a workshop, and they started finding value out of it. They started finding new people in their network, which they were probably not aware that, hey, these guys were there. Because now they started putting together messages around why you should join Capgemini, Salesforce, what is be the you want to be, and their entire network started getting alerts about it. So very simple and organic way of doing things. Expert Connect, again, go and check on our website. Expert Connect is our flagship program where we selected over 1,000 Capgemini experts to be voice of Capgemini on social media. So they're pushing content about Capgemini, about technology, about to our talent community, why you should join Capgemini, and to become face of Capgemini. So it's not our CEO and only vice presidents who are these experts, but these are actually grassroots level SMEs which are experts. Innovators Race, again, all of these programs are live. I can talk about it. Go on Twitter, talk about, just put hashtag Innovators Race. Innovators Race is a program that we are running for university graduates and giving them opportunity to turn their innovative concept into the real solutions. So a team which will win will actually gain $25,000, internship in our San Francisco lab, and a funding to help them to be entrepreneurs and really transform their idea into a reality. So we are helping them to do that. So again, this is one program which is going on. And lastly, I think again, someone talked yesterday about content strategy. It is extremely important. So what do you do on social? It's content, it's engagement. So Content Loop, content-loop.com, is a joint partnership between Capgemini and LinkedIn, where we create and distribute content which is again about market, industry, technology. So it's all relevant, and all of this content goes to all our experts, to employees, to everywhere. Right. So cool, everything looks great. Magic word, ROI. What's the ROI for us? So in each department, whether that's LinkedIn usage, increase in LinkedIn recruiters, job posting, application, page followers, talent brand index, LinkedIn influencers, or total number of LinkedIn hired, I think we have done a phenomenal progress, and all of it's there. Today, 10%, 8 to 10% of global hires are from LinkedIn or from social, mostly LinkedIn. And the kind of cost savings that we are getting out of it is phenomenal, because our third-party usage is really in single digits. I mean, we're only using wherever it's absolutely necessary. Our direct sourcing today is far, far higher than what we were in 2 years. But most importantly, I would say, the ROI that we are getting is this. We are able to make a shift from a traditional way of recruiting, enabling our recruiters to really wear a hat of a new digital recruiter. So, as I said, it's a continuous and learning journey. It wasn't a one-day program. We learned a lot. We made our mistakes, but we learned out of it. I think first thing I would really want to share is social recruiting or LinkedIn or any channel is not something that is probably a part-time job or just a side responsibility. You have to have a focused approach towards it. Whether that depends on the size of the business, but it really is a focused approach. So you can't just start something tomorrow and hoping that LinkedIn or social media will work for you. It won't. You have to build internal evangelists, social media evangelists, really train them, invest into them. Social is, as I said, social is not just about tools, it's about people. The earlier that we understand, I think the far greater results that we'll get. Recruiters are habituated, that's what we have learned. They started their career using Career Builder and Monster.com, and that's what the learning which has passed on to other generation of recruiters. So we had to really change their habits, break them, disrupt them, because the world is disrupting. Talent is getting disrupted. We cannot sit the way we are. Collaborate, share learning, and make it fun. So some of the gamification programs, Recruitathon program that we spoke yesterday, we're going to have a great party of a Recruitathon next week. It has to be fun, it has to be interesting, and it has to be meaningful for your recruiters. And lastly, I'll always say, as a recruiter, I think today we need to think like a marketer, act as a hunter, just like a salesperson or just like a great sourcer, but at the end of the day, be human to provide that great candidate experience to all of our recruiters. So these are some of the learnings that we had. Normally, last slide is all about some great comment or a great line. I don't have that. So this is what my recruiter says. It just takes one placement, use common sense, just do it. So I think that's a mantra that my recruiter would give. No fancy lines, no gyan, very simple things. right? So I would like to take this opportunity to really thank entire LinkedIn team, David, Isabella, Craig, Nicola, Romulus. These guys have been my partners in crime. Also, all of my recruiting team back there, global recruiting team, some of the people which are really made difference into this. But as I said, you have to invest in learning. You have to invest in changing the hat. So that's the story that I had to share. I would like to now ask Craig and my partners in crime to be here.
Thank you, Sarang, for sharing Capgemini's story. I hope you're all as inspired as we are with Capgemini's story. And now you might be wondering, how can we adopt all of those practices to our own teams? The good news is that every recruiter license holder has access to our online learning center, which contains the certification curriculum that was followed by Capgemini. Our online learning platform is available in 11 different languages. And we have training such as tip sheets, self-paced tutorials, and also live classes. If you want to find out more about the Online Learning Center and all that's available to you, please reach out to our customer success team at the Sky Gym.
And thank you all again for spending the time with us this afternoon. We hope you've taken away some great ideas from what Sarang has done in transforming his global team to drive both education and drive constant engagement. We'd love to see learning as one of your big ideas for 2016. So again, thank you for the time, and we'd love to open up for questions. I appreciate we are near the end of our time today, so Isabella and I will also both be in the Sky Gym after the session today for any questions that you may have as well.